What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Talk. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick Hennessy, joined today by the man, Chef Lonzo, Jay Lonzo. How are we doing today, Jalen?
Feeling great. Just had a pretty amazing Mother's Day. Hope everyone had a great Mother's Day as well. Rocking the pink hat, still in spirit. But yeah, feeling good.
There you go. Listen, I have a really fun topic to talk about today, and that's Max Scherzer, maybe to the Yankees. We'll talk about that. But before we get too into that, everyone be sure, you guys know the deal by now. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. We're doing live streams before and after every single Yankees game this season, so stay tuned for that content. Make sure you hit that bell. But yeah, our topic for today, Max Scherzer, whether or not he's a viable trade candidate for the Yankees come the trade deadline. And I think this topic kind of stems from his ridiculous outing against the Yankees on Saturday, where he went 7 1/3, only gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, 14 Ks, set the visiting record for most strikeouts by an opposing pitcher at the New York Yankee Stadium. Just unreal stats. He's having a pretty solid season if you kind of look at everything lumped together as well. He's 2-2 if you care about wins and losses, with a 2.33 ERA through 7 games, with a complete game as well, something that the Yankees do not have. So I think kind of looking at Max Scherzer and whether or not he's a trade deadline candidate, regardless of whether or not it's with the Yankees, I think it all depends on whether or not the Nationals are still in the hunt, right? And in National League East, that's wide open right now.
Yeah, I think Max Scherzer being available comes down to how in the race the Nationals are, and of course, the National League East kind of seems like one of those divisions that's going to be wide open for pretty much the entire year leading into September. So it's very possible that the Nationals could just say we're going to stick it out with the guys we have, and hope that our pitching can be enough to propel us to the playoffs, and even make a run. And that's kind of what they did in 2019. Because I don't know if anyone remembers, but they started off terrible in 2019. They kind of just hoped, and David Martinez was about to get fired. It was that bad.
Yeah.
And that was the year after Bryce Harper left. So there was a lot of expectations that were not met, but they stuck it out and ended up winning the World Series. So I think that because that happened, they probably have a little bit more confidence going into this year, even though they're not off to the best start. They're right around 500, a little bit below. But again, no one in that National League East is taking off the way we thought the Mets were or the Braves were. So,
Sure.
it's very possible. However, the chances of him coming to the Yankees obviously depend on him being available, but it also depends on how willing they are to go past that luxury tax. I don't think that the price tag as far as the package going to the Nationals, I'm sure you're going to have to give up something and it'll hurt, but
Yeah.
you won't have to it's not like trading for a 28-year-old ace in his prime with 4 years of control left. He'd be a rental. He's 36 years old toward the end of his career. He's still very dominant and still very good. So you're going to have to give up something good for him. But it really comes down to if the Yankees want to go past that luxury tax and are willing to do so in order to fortify that rotation for October.
Yeah, I mean, so speaking hypothetically, right? Because we don't know whether or not the Yankees are willing to go over that luxury tax. Right now, we're assuming they're not, but hopefully they change their mind come the deadline. Jalen, what would be your package that you would put together for Scherzer? Because, like you said, he is a
Yeah.
rental. He is kind of in the later stages of his career, so you're not going to be looking to give up too much. So, what do you think would be an ideal package?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because you could go one of two ways with this, right? You could, if the Nationals are really not good and not in the race at all, they're probably going to be sellers entirely. So you might look at a guy like Starlin Castro, Kyle Schwarber, some of their bullpen pieces, maybe like a Brad Hand, like all of those guys are going to be available. And I really want to see how Clint Frazier looks going into the All-Star break / trade deadline, because if he's not producing at all, if he's still not even over 200, and I know batting average is not like the full story as far as how productive a player is, and his at-bats have looked a little bit better,
Mhm.
but if he's not performing at all, I wouldn't be opposed to putting him in the alternate side, or now the AAA. I guess
Yeah,
the minor league season is back, so it would be AAA, getting consistent at bats every day, which he should be getting at the major league level, but he's not. So putting him in AAA, and maybe you attach Kyle Schwarber to a Max Scherzer to try and sweeten that package a little bit, and I'd maybe headline it with Devi Garcia, a guy who should be contributing at the major league level, but is not right now. So you might as well get something for him,
sure.
and then you build from there, and you look at a guy who's highly touted like Luis Medina, Luis Hill, guys like that who I think are almost like lottery ticket type guys, that I think the Nationals could really work with and put into either their future rotation or their bullpen, either or. And then you also want to look at on a deal for a rental. The Yankees also have to be smart about it also because you don't want to trade a guy who ends up being an ace in the future for a rental who leaves you after a couple months. Even if you do win a World Series, you still have to be a little bit smart about it. So you look at some of the fringe 40-man guys, a guy like Albert Abreu, who is his stuff is disgusting, and I'm sure some team would really value him, but there really isn't a place for him on our team for the
Yeah.
foreseeable future. So maybe you use him in a deal like that. So I wouldn't give up anything too crazy. Um, the Nationals are probably going to call us and say, "Hey, if you want Max Scherzer, we want Gleyber Torres," which is
Jason
kind of like,
Dominguez. Yeah.
yeah, like the teams always ask the Yankees for the sun and the moon. So I think Brian Cashman's used to that. But I always with deals like this, whenever we get starting pitching with like James Paxton, when we got Jameson Tyone, I'm always kind of underwhelmed with the packages heading out. So hopefully this can be one of those other situations. But again, it all comes down to if they're willing to go past the luxury tax.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you my package, and I think this easily gets the deal done. You ready?
Are
So
you giving me like a very specific group of names? Like is that
yeah, I'm giving you
okay, let's
three
hear it.
names. I'm giving you three names.
Okay,
So
let's
the
hear it.
Yankees are gonna get Max Scherzer. It's a 1-for-3 deal. In
Okay.
exchange for Max Scherzer, the Nationals are gonna be getting Davy Garcia,
Okay.
Estevan Florial, and Nick Nelson. I think that gets the deal
Mm,
done. I think it
that's
does
interesting.
because I also don't think that the Yankees are going to be losing anybody in that deal who's going to provide anything to this team in the near future. Because we know
Yeah.
Davies kind of blocked because the Yankees have so much starting pitching depth for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Esteban Florial, I listen. I know the Yankees don't have a ton of outfield depth right now, and he might be able to make an impact at the major league level, but I don't see them giving him that opportunity this year. And then Nick Nelson, we kind of know he has the potential to be a dominant relief pitcher, but he just hasn't really shown it to the Yankees so far. So I think those are three guys. If you put them all together, they probably will be able to get you half a year of Max Scherzer. However, another scenario I could see playing out is if you kind of package a deal around Aaron Hicks. Now, call me crazy, but Jalen, I know you might be upset at this. I know you're a Hicks guy, but I think I don't know the math in particular, but he's probably the only contract right now I could see the Yankees moving that would maybe not put them over the luxury tax. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works just because I know once we get to the trade deadline, like you're obviously not trading away the entirety of like I think Hicks is 10 mil or a little bit over 10 million.
Yeah.
So you're obviously not trading. It's more like 6 million that you'd be moving. I'm not sure exactly what Scherzer's would be. So it's possible that it would keep us under. I'm also not sure even how much they have left under the luxury tax. But either way, it sucks that that's something that we even have to think about
I know.
when it comes to like bringing in a guy like Max Scherzer who could just absolutely give you the best 1-2 punch in baseball, and I'd probably even say the best 1-2-3 punch in baseball. I don't really think. I mean,
No, yeah.
Maybe the Dodgers can give you like, but Kershaw hasn't looked good this year. But I mean, I guess Bauer and Walker Bueller is like a pretty good 1-2. But I don't know, bro. I'll take Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer any day of the week
No,
over
yeah, but
anybody.
like that's my thing, Jalen. It's like, let's say hypothetically a deal does get done, right? Acquiring Max Scherzer would give the Yankees by far the best rotation in the American League. And also by acquiring Scherzer, you prevent any of your American League counterparts from getting him as well. So if the White Sox acquired Max Scherzer, that's a really bad sign for the Yankees, especially going into the postseason. Or if the Astros acquire Max Scherzer, for example, definitely not a good sign going into the postseason. So while you also improve your own team by acquiring him, you also kill your competition in the
And
American League.
that's the strategy. Aside from 2019, because I don't think the Yankees would ever be in on Zach Greinke. I think like
Yeah.
that's just something that they've always stayed far away from. But aside from that, when they went in and got Justin Verlander in 2017, they not only brought in Justin Verlander, who was honestly on a little bit of a decline, but went to Houston, revitalized his career. The rest is history, whatever. But they took him away from the Yankees. The Yankees are in on that too. They just didn't want to pay his contract. That was the
Yeah.
big thing for them. Then you go into 2018. The Yankees are in on Garrett Cole. They don't want to part with Gleyber Torres. Then they don't want to part with Miguel Andujar. They don't want to part with Clint Frazier. Um, Guess what? We're going to bring him into and he's now going to be the best pitcher, arguably in baseball, second best pitcher. However,
Yeah.
guy didn't lose a game for like 4/5 of a season. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. So, I mean, listen, the Yankees have at some point got to put their foot down and say enough's enough. We're not going to just accept that we're a little bit mediocre in starting pitching. We're not going to just pray that guys make it to October healthy. At the deadline, we're gonna see that we can have a true upgrade. Even though starting pitching has not really been the Yankees' problem so far, it just makes your team that much more like what's the word? Like it's harder to put a chink in your armor
Sure.
when you run out two aces in game one and game two, and then when you have Corey Kluber pitching the way he's pitching, I don't see how a team even like has a chance in a 7-game series, let alone a 5-game series in ALDS. I think that's too good to pass up.
Yeah, it would make them unreal for sure. I mean, you look at Cole, Scherzer, Kluber, that's untouchable. And then they have very good guys who are capable of filling up those
I'll
4 and 5
tell
spots.
I'll tell you what, I think Cole, we talked a lot about in 2019 how amazing the Astros rotation was when you go Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Zach Greinke. I think I'm taking Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Corey
Same.
Kluber over that 2019 Astros
It's a good argument.
rotation.
Yeah,
I
I
have a
would have to
question
say
for
so
you
as well.
though.
Go for it.
If we had to, or not had to, if we wanted to pair Kyle Schwarber in a deal with Max Scherzer, who would you give up for that?
I guess I would include Clint in that deal. Only because I think it would make the most sense to kind of not prevent Clint from getting an opportunity even more so, right? Because if you acquire Schwarber, it would essentially either A, put Clint in the minor leagues, or B, put him on the bench. So I think just to prevent him from being blocked anymore in the organization, if you're acquiring Schwarber, I think you would have to include Clint in the deal. I think that would just make the most sense.
No, I agree. I think either he's in the deal or you're basically telling him for the rest of this year you're going to be in the minor leagues and
Yeah.
hopefully you can earn the job next year. I'm not saying that I want that to happen. I'm just saying if we get to July, the end of July, and he's still playing the way he is, maybe the Yankees starts to think about something like that.
Yeah, we'll see. But Jalen, before we do wrap up today's episode, give me a number 1 through 10. With 10 being like this is definitely happening, and 1 being like no chance in hell.
Yeah.
What are the odds you think this deal gets done? Any deal
Oh
gets done for
man,
Scherzer.
it's interesting because I don't know, man. Like whenever there's smoke, there's fire. I genuinely believe that, and I think the Scherzer talks have been going on since kind of like in the off season. There was a little bit of stirring the pot with that,
Since
and I know,
2019, I would say.
yeah. But I mean, listen, we continue to talk about this luxury tax thing, and it kind of every time I get excited about a guy like this or a trade or a free agent signing, I kind of get discouraged whenever I get reminded about the luxury tax. So I think realistically, I'd probably say like a 3 or a 4 right now, given all factors involved, just
Yeah.
because the Nationals still have an opportunity to make a run, and the Yankees have not shown any sign of wanting to go past that luxury tax this year. But I think there's this weird feeling I have that the Yankees front office was sitting there the other day watching Max Scherzer pitch in the Bronx, and it made them feel something. It was kind of like, man, we could get used to this, but for like our team. So
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I
I'll
would have
leave it
to
at like
agree.
a 4.
I think before his start on Saturday, I would have it at a 3. But I think after that start, he might have proved something to the Yankees front office, being like, maybe we got to go get this guy. I think right now it would be at a 5. If the Nationals continue to slide anymore, it'll go up. And also, if the Yankees kind of abolish kind of their luxury tax mentality, it would go up as well. But we'll see. We still have a couple months until the trade deadline. So hopefully the Yankees can get the deal done. But that is going to wrap things up for today's episode. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. You guys know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. We're going live before and after every single Yankees game this season. You guys also know the deal. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Peace.